Welcome on to another NFL preview. This week we have Week 4 preview, joined by my two friends, one in studio, one back home in New Jersey. Kohler and Brian, welcome to the show. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here. Haven't done a show in a while since last year Premier League. I'm excited to be back making content.
Yeah, usually this is a Thursday night live show, but we have some travel altercations and with a bunch of stuff going on. I'm traveling south, so I'm dealing with hurricane, dealing with getting there at a certain time. So had to move the show up Wednesday night, recorded, but it will be released at the normal time. And it's the same old stuff. Just have some guests with me. Going through every single NFL game. I'm gonna give my DraftKings take as well. And these guys are great football minds. Follow them on Twitter. They have good stuff there. So it's not a big deal. Let's get right into the game. And I'll pull up the DraftKings slate as well. We were going to start with Thursday night, Dolphins at the Bengals. Line opened up at, I think, 2, and now it's all the way out to Bengals -4. Maybe it was Bengals -1, but are you guys shocked at this line? Brian, what's your thoughts?
I'm not really shocked because I guess it all does depend on Tua's health. I mean, he was limited at practice yesterday, and I mean, we all saw the highlight. I mean, he looked like he was concussed, but supposedly it's like a back injury and stuff. But
this is not true because that was literally a concussion.
Nah, yeah, it's crazy. I thought it was crazy. He literally fell to the ground. But yeah, I mean, they have other players questionable too. Jalen Waddle is questionable. They got Armstead questionable. Xavier Howard on the defense is questionable. So,
yeah, I think when this line came out, I was a little bit confused, but I think it's a fair line. Like, even if they were healthy, I still thought the Bengals were going to win this game. They started slow against those legit pass rushes, which their offensive line was that. Not saying Miami Dolphins don't have a good pass rush, but it's not like going up against Micah Parsons like they did in week 2 and going up against TJ Watt like they did in week 1. So how do you feel about the Bengals, Fuller?
I would say that they've definitely been getting their stride going, probably after the second half of that Dallas game.
They look a lot better then.
Yeah, and armed with the information that a lot of the key components of this Dolphins team are going to be out next week, I think it's a fair line for sure.
Yeah, and this total was at 47. Like, I feel like if those injury reports weren't there, it would be like at least closer to the 50s. But I feel like this is a good game to play DFS wise, and I always talk about the Thursday night game because it's standalone, and a lot of people like to play showdown. So quarterback wise, if Tua is healthy, I don't think you can get away from Tua. He's priced 6.5, and I think that's also because of his injury. So I don't know. If he's playing, I feel like you got to go with Tua because this Bengals defense doesn't really like scare me a lot. And then stack him with any of those. I mean, Tyreek's just getting better every week with more comfortable Tua. And then you know who to go with on the Bengals side. Go with Chase. I think Higgins has been a little bit like hurt. He got hurt last game, then came back or something.
Yeah.
Not sure his status, but you're gonna go. I think you're gonna want to go with Tua in the quarterback slot, and then just throw in all the receivers you could find. You're gonna have to get different somewhere. Maybe go with Pirine because he's been getting a lot of more red zone carries than Mixon has, but which is disappointing because I have Mixon in fantasy and I'm a big Joe Mixon guy. He hates me for it, but yeah. So who do you think is gonna win this game in the end? Like, Brian, you first.
Like, just straight out win. I think the Bengals are gonna win it at home. But in the betting wise,
it's tough spread, dude.
It's tough spread. That 4 is a little tricky. So, I mean, if I had to make a play, I would probably tease the Dolphins up, and
we'll have
maybe
a play on that for sure.
Take the over with the teaser. But
who do you think wins this game?
I want to say if Tua plays,
you think they get it done on the road?
He could get it done. I mean, the Dolphins just seem like a very well-run team to the beginning of the season. You know, they beat the Ravens in a shootout. You know,
the Bills too.
At Buffalo, they beat at Baltimore, and then they beat Buffalo at home. They just seem very well put together, and the Bengals obviously aren't really known for that, to be well put together. But
yeah,
I don't think that was really ugly with Tua last week.
He did not. He couldn't walk.
I was surprised. Like, everyone has been surprised that they let him back in the game. I mean, I do think
he came back and won
for the most part, and he did win that game.
Yeah.
But I honestly don't think I could really trust him in this spot just because of that. And
yeah, it's a tough one. It's a tough one.
The Bengals are due for a big win. I mean, last week
they got going as they should have done.
They look better for sure.
Yeah. All right. Next game. Let me change the DraftKings setting. We have Minnesota and New Orleans, the first London game of the season, and I have some strong takes on this game. I have some strong take in this game. He will be in my write-up. I think Kirk Cousins is an absolute hammer DraftKings play this week. I'm just envisioning. You guys saw what Kirk Cousins did last week, or what was it, last week ago, Monday Night Football? Normal primetime Kirk, horrible.
Always.
So just imagine you guys sleeping in Sunday.
When no one's watching.
You wake up, no one's watching. Kirk goes for 475 and 4 touchdowns.
Exactly.
Of course he does when no one's watching. I just feel like it's going to happen, and that's why I bet the Vikings at -2.5, and I think Kirk is an absolute hammer this week. Kohler, what are you thinking about this game?
I definitely agree with that Kirk take. I mean, he's the type of guy to probably go to sleep at like 5 p.m. just to skip the jet lag. So I think he'll be totally ready for this game. The Saints defense is probably the only thing that kind of scares me about this, but half of the reason why the Saints defense is good is because they get 8 games at the Superdome. So playing away at a third-party location, I don't think they're going to play up to their potential, and I would take the Vikings -3 here.
Yeah. Brian, what's your take? But
yeah,
I'm all Vikings and DraftKings. Just load them up.
Yeah, I would also take the Vikings. The Saints are really banged up. Jarvis Landry, both the quarterbacks, Taysom Hill and Winston are both hurt. I mean, I'm sure Winston will play, I'm assuming, but I mean,
Jameis is legit hurt. He's legit hurt, and he's just playing through it. And since week 1 he looked okay, and then he got hurt like week 2 and 3, and he looked like blatantly off.
Yeah, Davenport and Marcus May on the defensive side also hurt, questionable. So
Vikings is my first.
They're banged up. They're banged up.
Vikings is my first 2-unit side of the week, so I'm on the Vikings -2.5. I think they're gonna make it happen. You saw them fight back last week against a Lions team who was legit good, and they were down 10 twice in the second half, and they came back and won that game. So we'll move on to the next game. Interesting spread, interesting game. It's gonna be fun. Jacksonville heads to literally Philly, who is playing very good football. Brian, what's your thoughts on this game?
Honestly, this is going to be a way better game than people think. I think that 6.5 is actually a lot of points. Jaguars have been playing really good football on both sides of the ball. Trevor Lawrence looks really good. Even all the wide receivers are producing, both running backs. Honestly, I think the Eagles probably win this game, but I think it's going to be a lot closer. I don't think they'll cover the 6.5.
Yeah, this game is sneaky for me because I was so on the – and we talked, Brian. I was like, Redskins are going to cover last week. Redskins are going to win because it was a horrible spot for the Eagles off of a big Monday night win, short week on the road against divisional. And they just proved to do what Super Bowl contenders do. Like that win last week proved it for me for the Eagles. Okay, they're here to win. So I don't think Jacksonville is going to be the team that slows them down. I love Jacksonville's offense. I said it preseason. I still like it. They've been proving it week after week. I don't think Jacksonville has the defensive weapons to slow down this. Is Jalen Hurts going to have an MVP season because he's looking like he's looking like it. I don't think Jacksonville's defense has the guys to slow down these Eagles pieces, but I think it's going to be. I actually think I'm going to go against you. I think the Eagles will cover here, maybe cover late, but I think they'll cover here. Kohler, what are you thinking?
I'm definitely more with Brian on this one. I think that the Jaguars are definitely going to cover. I think everyone has kind of been praying that Trevor Lawrence will finally be unlocked because it was just so sad to see last year that, it was so dysfunctional with all the Urban Meyer stuff. Like it just kind of tarnished everything, and he had an awful season. And then with that big win against the Chargers last week where they totally blew him out. I mean, is it like people are waiting like the arrival of Trevor Lawrence. And if it's here, I mean, 6.5 points is a lot of points.
6.5.
Yeah. 6.5.
But
Doug Peterson, this is like a revenge game for Doug Peterson kind of.
Yeah, true.
For sure.
I think it's also a prove-it game for Jalen Hurts and for the Jaguars in general. I think they both, whoever wins, I'm sure they'll prove everyone wrong in what they're about,
So I don't know if you saw, I just clicked off strictly Jacksonville receivers, and I think Jacksonville receivers are going to be a hammer every single week, but the question mark is which one, because the first 3 weeks, it's been a different one, and I've gotten them wrong, admittedly. I'm like, okay, it's Zay Jones this time. Okay, it's Marvin Jones this time. And then Christian Kirk did last week, showed that he was worth the money. He just got paid. So I don't know which one is going to pop. Again, play Trevor Lawrence every week. He's going to be cheap. He's going to be a viable option at quarterback. And then you're going to want to stack him with one of these Jacksonville receivers. I don't know if you want to pay like $2,000 more for Chris Kirk, when you can go 4-2 or 4-3 and get one of the Jones, because I feel like they have similar upside. So I would go flip a coin, go Marvin Jones, Zay Jones, stack him with Trevor Lawrence because I think we know the Eagles are going to score. I think that's a legit stack, and I've been saying it since week 1. It's been paying off. Trevor Lawrence and a wide receiver stack is a good play, and I'm just going to continue saying it until it fails us. So you guys think the Eagles cover. Jaguars cover. I'm going to go with the Eagles. We'll see how that turns out. Next game, we will talk about. This is going to be a fun one. Buffalo off that loss head to Baltimore off of a win in Foxborough. So, Brian, what are you thinking here?
This is going to be a good game. Josh Allen, after last week, he's going to come back mad. But both teams are both playing very good this year. Josh Allen has a lot to prove here at Baltimore. If he can get a win in Baltimore, that would be huge. But if they go 2-2, I don't know what's going on with the Bills. Like, I expected them to be maybe 2-3 losses all year, but if they can be 500 after 4 weeks, I won't be looking so good.
Yeah. So my thing with the Bills and my thing with the Bills preseason was, no matter what team it is, they're gonna have bad weeks. But last year we saw with the Bills and Brian Daboll, now the coach of the Giants, would have that Bills offense in different sets, and looking like a different offense week in, week out when it got going bad. So I don't know if they're going to be able to do that without Daboll. And we saw Ken Dorsey have that freak out in the press box last week.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's too mental to handle it, but I feel like he is, along with Joe Brady as their another offensive guy as their QB coach. I think they will be able to switch it up a little bit because the Dolphins did exactly what they should have done. They let everything happen in front of them. They made Josh Allen not take any downfield shots, and because they couldn't run the ball and they haven't been able to run the ball, they're going to have to figure something out, especially against this Ravens defense. But I'm interested to see how the Bills bounce back, especially with the new coach. Kohler, what are you thinking? I know you're an AFC North guy, so this is an AFC North game.
Yeah, as a Steelers fan, I respect the hell out of the Ravens franchise. They just do so many things right. And I think it's getting to the point, you kind of saw it last week with the Dolphins. They held the Bills to 19 points.
I think something like that, 19 17.
They cannot run the football.
It's scary how bad they are running the football.
Obviously, everyone knows that the Ravens are one of the best running football teams in the NFL. There's a really good chance that the Ravens can just have this ball for 75% of this game, and then they don't even let Josh Allen touch it. If they could get, the Bills to do a few, punt on a few possessions, because obviously that's rare for them nowadays, which is crazy, or a couple 3-and-outs, this could get out of hand, I think, really quickly for the Bills because the Ravens offense has been absolutely explosive through these first 3 games.
Yeah, that's a really good way to look at it. Sorry to interrupt you, but this game is a high total, and I like what you said because this game's a high total, 2 high-power offenses. Everyone's going to be going to this game in DraftKings. Everyone's going to be like, all right, we need Bills and Ravens. High total means more fantasy points. Not necessarily. If the Ravens go with that game plan, keep the Bills off the field, run some clock.
Yeah, I could see it being low scoring
all day. Lamar Jackson's going to go
4th
insane.
in the league in rushing already. Run some clock, keep the Bills off the field. Maybe this game will go under the total. Maybe there won't be much fantasy scoring in this game, which people might think because it's a high total. So I'm going to stay away from this game in fantasy. Who the guys are if you want Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. It makes sense. But I think this game might stay under the total, might be more of a slower pace, might be more a ground game, especially from Baltimore to keep, like you said, off Buffalo off the field. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Ravens win outright. What are we thinking from a win-loss point of view, Brian? Or Bills -3? What's your thoughts on that? Who covers? Who wins?
I think the Bills are going to win by 3. I think they'll win by a field goal at the end of the game. Yeah. That's what I would say. But it's going to be a good game. I think it's going to be a little low scoring. Like Kohler said, I think the Ravens will try to run the ball more. And the Bills can't exactly run the ball, but the way their offense works, they'll probably just throw short passes and stuff and just keep moving the ball, get first down after first down. Long drives, both teams. I could see it being
So is the under a hammer here? Is that what we're collectively thinking?
If I had to take some, I would take the under, if anything, in this game.
I don't know if my mom would let me take the under. I think she'd be disappointed.
Yeah, especially
if I bet the under and lost, I would be really upset myself. But
I don't know. That might be too. Actually, you guys are kind of convincing me. I actually played one under on this slate already, and I'll get there when I say it. But I might go 2 unders, which I don't know the last time I bet 2 unders on one NFL slate. I'm just a big side guy, but
Honestly, I hate betting unders. If I
yeah,
figure a game's gonna be an under, I just don't bet it because
especially if you want to watch
who
it.
wants to hope nothing happens, you know?
Right. I mean,
You bet the under in the London games. That's what you do.
the Lunder, yeah,
Okay.
you bet but
You bet the Lunder.
you bet the Lunder, but the Lunder's a low total, and I think the Vikings are gonna roll. But we already talked about that.
Yeah, I think the Lunder's like actually been like scientifically proven, so they put it in the lines.
Right.
For
Okay.
sure.
We'll move on to the next game. Washington had to Dallas, another NFC East matchup. Brian noted Dallas guy. Cooper Rush, that was pretty impressive. I know he didn't light up the scoreboard, but he played
Doesn't mess
well
up.
enough to win. What's your thoughts on this game?
I'm very low on the Commanders this year.
Are you?
Cowboys, yeah, for sure. Carson Wentz, honestly, Carson Wentz has been sacked 14 times, I think, in the last 2 weeks.
Mike is gonna eat.
And yeah, and with the way the Cowboys defensive line's looking, I think the Cowboys are gonna dominate this game. I think they'll completely steamroll them, probably a whole blowout. I'm not even being biased. I just think the way it matches up, if Wentz again sacked 14 times in 2 weeks, Cowboys D line as good as any other D line. So I think it'll go the same way.
Yeah, I think
Also, I'm
well,
pretty
you
sure
know-
Gallup should be back this week also. So they'll have another weapon out there on offense.
I checked off running backs for this game. Because it's kind of funny. Like Zeke's like turned into like it was happening last year, but he's turned into like not Zeke. So I'm trying to see where he's okay. So Zeke is 6'1". That is look how low Zeke is compared to all. This is the entire NFL's running backs.
Crazy.
Zeke is 6'1". A year and a half ago, he's up here.
Yeah,
he's
for sure.
in his range. So
the way Zeke's digressed, and like I guess you can say he's like fatter now or something. He's a lot slower, but he's becoming way a straight power back, I would say. And with Tony Pollard as like your second guy, I think it works hand in hand very well.
Yeah, and like you're relying on Zeke to get in the end zone. Unlike the past, he's not getting as many receptions as he used to. So
Yeah.
I don't know how much of a fantasy game this is going to be used. Maybe there's some leverage here. I mean, Carson Wentz does rank 3rd in fantasy quarterbacks this year, surprisingly. So I think he is still a viable option. Maybe not this week against the Cowboys.
I can see them get a bunch of passing yards at the end.
Yeah, because they've been playing from behind and Carson's had to throw. But this is a big stay away game for me. I don't know. Cowboys Monday night game, like 3.5 seems like a fair line. Cooper Rush is still Cooper Rush. I've been big on the Commanders as in fantasy because they've been playing from behind, because those receivers are so explosive. Wentz stack it with other receivers. I wrote up Wentz last week, but I don't know. I'm just going to stay away from this game completely. Who do you think wins this game?
I mean, I'll definitely go along with what Brian said. I think the Cowboys, are just the better team in this scenario. It was funny, somewhat of like the narrative going into the season was that the Cowboys have no weapons. Like, what is their offense? Like, it's just CeeDee Lamb. But I do think that what Brian said is 100% true about Zeke and Tony Pollard in the backfield working together, as kind of that combo backfield. CeeDee Lamb obviously has been showing that why he deserves to be a number 1 receiver on a team in the absence of Amari Cooper. And then with people like Michael Gallup coming back, who we've seen
Noah Brown.
Noah Brown, yeah.
Yeah.
Noah Brown's been playing great.
Yeah, all these guys could make plays, and winning games without Dak, I mean, that just really shows how good the rest of the team is around him. So
Schultz will play this week also.
Yeah, but besides that, this is totally a game that I would skip watching. Like Monday night game, like I really just don't want to watch the Commanders on TV. I just don't want to see them.
But I don't want to.
Yeah, like I'll watch them on Red Zone. Like I probably won't look at my phone when like Carson Wentz is getting sacked in the end zone or something. But yeah, this is a game that I just like a sleep like.
So we mentioning Noah Brown. I brought up the Dallas receivers single-handedly, 4,900. But I don't know if you can just play any Dallas receivers like in this economy with Cooper Rush.
Now with Gallup back this week, now they have like 4 options, maybe 5 on.
Well, I think Gallup is a hammer once Dak comes back. I think
he's going to be a big deep threat. He's going to open things up for CeeDee way more too. So I think the offense is going to get rolling for sure. I'm not going to say they're going to be a great offense, nothing close to last year, but I think they'll get the offense together.
Yeah, I think Dak actually really likes Gallup.
Yeah,
like
He
in the
throws
past.
him a lot.
He's good.
Yeah, even in
Yeah.
last year, the years before with CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper and all those other guys,
Got
he
love.
got reception.
Yeah, once Dak comes back, I'm going to be very high on Michael Gallup. All right, we will move on. Someone call it an ugly game. I would say this game is pretty fun. Seattle heads to Detroit. This line opened at 6. Now it's down to 4.5, 5 in some spots. Do the Lions get it done again? Do the Lions I don't know. I don't mean by get it done again. I mean by show flashes that they're legit. What's your thoughts on this game, Cola? You go first.
I mean, I think this is all Lions. I think Dan Campbell,
Campbell.
This Lions team has the heart and the gumption to win games, especially against a weaker opponent. I feel like with their mindset and just how they play, they could just smother a weaker opponent and just kind of win by wanting it more than the other team. And the Seahawks, I mean, obviously they got that win week 1.
That was their Super Bowl. That was literally the Super Bowl.
So that was that was always going to be a close game. But what do the Seahawks have? They don't have
nothing.
They're away at a Lions team that's been playing great. I think this is an easy one.
No-brainer. What do you think? You think Lions cover this game, Brian?
The 4, yeah, I think they'll cover the 4.5. I think their offense been playing great. Seahawks, I don't think they're good at all. They really have nothing. They have decent receivers, but no one to throw it to them. So, yeah, I think the Lions will cover 4.5, maybe win by a touchdown.
Have you seen anything on the Swift status? Because he's listed as questionable.
Last time I just saw he was questionable. I saw St. Brown was also questionable, which I would say you need him back. Yeah. Yeah, so he should be good. I'm sure they'll both play, but even with Jamal Williams, they can still run the ball with him.
Well, I don't know if you know, I wrote this up in the fan share article last week. Through 3 weeks, it was actually 2 weeks at that time, and I think it still stands now. Jamal Williams led the entire league in red zone rushing attempts, which is crazy because he's more than likely a running back 2 or at least a 1.5, and he led more than Jonathan Taylor, more than Christian McCaffrey, more than all the elite running backs. He was getting the touches in the red zone, and if you watch red zone, another Jamal Williams touchdown. It checks out. He got the most touches or carries out of any running back in the entire league. Now, does that stay? I mean, he's a little bit bigger than Swift, but we saw what
Swift banged up in the red zone. I think they'll definitely go Jamal Williams. If they've been, they definitely will now. They don't want to risk injury, run up the middle. Swift in a dog pile or nothing. And Jamal Williams is the power back. That's what he's there for. So.
Yeah, and Swift, we saw what he's done, what he did last year. We saw that one carry he had. What was that last week when he fell and got inside the 5 when he should have been down? We know what the talent he is from Georgia.
He's great. I like him.
And so I don't know if this is the week, but if it's not, he's gonna keep. He's at 7-1 right now. He's gonna keep going down, 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 and there's gonna be 1 week where he has that Swift 39-point games with six receptions and 2 receiving touchdowns. And I don't know when it's gonna be. Could very well be this week, but maybe not because he was a little gimpy. But I do like the Lions as well. So that's my fantasy take. I wouldn't really trust Jamal Williams to hammer him. I mean, it's not even a great price. I'd rather just go up to Swift, but yeah, I wouldn't really touch this game. All right, we will move on.
If Swift's out, I like Jamal Williams as a play though.
Oh, if Swift's out, yes, for sure.
Yeah.
But we'll see when that happens later. We'll move on to the Jets and the Steelers. And Cole, I'm definitely gonna let you lead off this one. Let me just find the there we go. Find the DFS slate for Jets and Steelers. All right, Jets 3-point favorites. Steelers 3-point favorites at the versus the Jets, who just got embarrassed by the Bengals. Can you trust the Steelers as favorites, even though it's the Jets?
Absolutely not. I don't think the Steelers have negative offense. Joe Flacco, I would probably take over Mitch Trubisky right now. I don't really think Mitch Trubisky is the problem. I think we've had problems at offensive coordinator for years. Ben was always running the offense. I honestly hate this game for betting.
And DFS, it's gonna be low scoring.
-3. I really want to take the Jets because the Steelers just lost to the Browns that the Jets beat. For how much of that game could have been fluky, but they were in it. They were hanging in with the Browns better than the Steelers hung in with the Browns for sure. Because the Steelers got punched in the mouth last week by that run game. And I mean, honestly, I'm rooting for the Steelers to lose at this point. I've already given up on them. I just want to see Pickett play. And I think
sooner than later,
if they lose to the Jets, they're going to be
I think this could be – if they go down to the Jets early, maybe if it's blown open early, I could see Kenny Pickett coming in either this week or definitely in the next couple of weeks because
I would love to see it.
the offense looks so bad. Mitch Trubisky's clearly not the answer. I'm not going to say it's all his fault. Offensive line is pretty horrible, but I mean, you want to see something happen, and this would be, I guess, a good year to see Kenny Pickett a year.
Yeah, and I feel like offensive line, you saw the Bengals make the Super Bowl and almost win. Like at a certain point,
without an offensive line,
you have to make a play, and obviously Mitch is not making them.
And
Brian,
Zach Wilson is playing this week, right?
That is a good question.
I'm pretty sure.
I listened to part of my take, and they were saying that they think he's playing. Let me do a quick.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I saw that he was clear to play. I'm pretty sure they will play him then, but I guess
we'll start against Pittsburgh. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So wow. I mean that all depends on how good Zach Wilson is then, because Zach Wilson can easily just be horrible and ruin the game for them.
Well, but I'm kind of sad because I
like him.
Week 2. After week 1, when Joe Flacco threw the ball 59 times, I was like, okay, Joe Flacco, $4,100. They're going to throw. And Joe Flacco made me a lot of money in week 2. So I would have loved to keep going to low price Joe Flacco at like what price? Literally, okay, 5,200. He's going up a little bit. But now Zach Wilson, 5,200. If he's starting, I mean, I don't know if you want to play him, but I think if there's one guy you want to play in this game, it's going to be Najee because he's yet to break out, and the Jets defense by no means is world beaters. And we know Najee can have a game where with a bunch of dump offs. I mean, if Ben can just dump the ball off to him like Najee, I mean, Mitch could do that, and that's how he gets a lot of fantasy points. So not saying that will happen because there's not really a downfield target to avoid to like make Najee open is what I'm saying. So I don't know. We'll see, but I stay away from this game. Everyone's low price for a reason, and I'd probably lean the Jets +3, but it's just a game that I won't be touching in any facets.
Do you guys know the status on Minka Fitzpatrick?
I
don't know if he's playing. I'm not sure if he's playing.
If he's not playing, the Jets are winning this game.
Because he's the biggest part of their defense besides TJ Watt. But without both of them, that defense is not even good either. So,
all right, he's in protocol, but he practiced today, so I feel like he'll play.
Okay.
All right. You good with this game, Kohler?
Yeah, for sure.
All right, we'll move on to Chargers head to Houston. Chargers off of a questionable decision to start Justin. Didn't look good at all. Now they head to Houston. Bounce back spot or panic in San Diego /LA?
I'll take over. I don't think it's a panic spot for the Chargers, but
I think it might be.
There's something wrong with the team, and they need to get together and figure it out because
Bosa's out and Slater's out.
Yeah, I think
Keenan's back, yeah, but Joey Bosa is out, which is huge, and Rashawn Slater, like one of the best offensive linemen in football, is out. More pressure on offense. Austin Eckler looks like he belongs in JUCO, which is where he came from, or D2. Hasn't looked like himself. I don't know what to make of this Chargers team, who everyone and myself including was so high on this season. But
this is gonna be a messy game, in my opinion. I don't think it's gonna be.
Everyone's gonna bet the Chargers in a bounce back spot, only laying 5 in Houston. But I feel like it's too obvious. Okay, I don't know if this is gonna be as easy as. What do you think, Corey? Go ahead, Corey.
I definitely am just gonna little humble brag. I definitely had the best take of the year so far. I said to my one friend that Eckler is gonna have the worst season ever because every 2 or 3 years there's these random running backs that are come out of nowhere and then they leave quickly just as they came, and
Eckler's doing
he's definitely doing that. But I think the Chargers probably should start panicking because they kind of really just fumbled the bag by starting Herbert and then dropping a complete deuce and losing to the Jaguars at home anyway.
Blown out.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think that is a demoralizing loss for sure. And obviously that really hindered the recovery of what looked like a really bad injury to Justin Herbert. And it definitely is a bad injury. And now he's questionable at the moment, but playing him the next week and then sitting him the week after is just obviously very questionable management. And the Texans just seem kind of like last year in the beginning. They're just super feisty, and really all of their games have been super close. I mean, I think they've covered every week so far.
I saw there's 4 teams that did. I know the Lions and Dolphins are one of them. Texans might be on that list.
Yeah, either way, I mean, it doesn't seem like this Chargers defense has been, what it was hyped up to be with all the offseason acquisitions. And I don't know, maybe Davis Mills have a day. It's at home, right?
I was about to say Mills Mafia. I like him this week at what is he 5 flat. I don't know if it's just me. I just love taking. If you're not going to pay up for Mahomes or Allen or Lamar, take a min price quarterback because they're just as likely to pop as any. Like I'm not just as likely, but they can quarterbacks pop. And Davis Mills is a guy who's shown that he can do it, especially against a banged up Chargers defense. At home. Chargers might be in a little bit of a bad spot. I don't mind Mills at 5K. And I don't know if you want to stack him with any Texans receiver because that's that could be a mess. Damian Pierce is getting more and more carries every week, but he's listed as questionable.
I like him.
But yeah, I don't really. I feel like Chargers. Like my heart says they just cover this 5.5, but not. I wouldn't say that with confidence. And what's your final thoughts on this game, Brian?
Yeah, I think it's just gonna be a messy game, like you said. Chargers 5.5. It's a lot of points, so I think they'll win by a touchdown, maybe. But I'm like you said, I'm not confident saying that at all.
Yeah. All right.
I could not put money on that.
We will move on to the only under I have bet this week and the first under I bet of the season. Bears head to New York, head to New Jersey, to MetLife to play the Giants. Giants are 3-point favorites off of a close, kind of ugly game. But I feel like if that Cowboys Giants game went under, this game is going under by so far. Both of these teams average under 20 points. Both of these teams run disgusting offenses. Through 3 weeks, Justin Fields has completed 23 passes. That is a legit high school offense. That is this is the 21st century NFL. How do you complete 23 passes in 3 weeks? That's objectively ridiculous. What are they doing?
They're going Tebow mode. They're putting him in the Tebow treatment.
Brian, does this game go over? No.
I think this will be a straight running game on both sides of the ball.
We're not seeing this game on red zone. Is what I'm saying. Is the game
no. It's rare to see Giants and Bears on red zone. I mean, on the other side of the ball, maybe, but yeah, no. Low scoring. 39 is very low, but like you said, if Cowboys Giants stayed under, I could see this one staying under. I think it's going to be a lot of running. I don't think either quarterback will produce. If I took anyone from this game, it'd be Barkley or Montgomery. So.
Yeah, I like Khalil Herbert, low-key, but
Herbert
I'm playing no one from this game. They're going to be low on. They're going to be low on for a reason. If you want to get really ugly and sneaky, play one of those running backs. Hopefully they find 2 touch. That's what they're going to have to do. They're going to have to score twice. They're going to have to. These teams are only going to score twice at max, I would say, and they're going to have to score both of those touchdowns. So you want to get sneaky, play one of those 2 running backs. I like this under, but that's basically the only thoughts I have in this game. You got anything else, Kohler?
Yeah, this is another game. Totally skipping this one. I mean, I don't want to watch this game. I don't really care who wins. I don't really think it matters. These teams aren't really NFL teams. It seems like
nothing.
Yeah, they're basically nothing, and they are not going to be around at the end of the season. And the line is -3. It's just a game that you just can't bet. You cannot bet.
All right, we'll move on. Another, I would say, semi-ugly game. Cleveland heads to Atlanta. Another Atlanta back-to-back games where they're in a 1-point spread. I don't really want to get involved with this game either. I know there's some more upside with these 2 teams fantasy-wise, but what are you thinking happens here, Brian?
I think the Browns will win this game. Close game, but I don't like the Falcons much. I mean, they show glimpses of being great. I mean, Cordell Patterson at times could look like a great running back.
He's third in the league in rushing.
Yeah. I feel like last couple of years he produces, but then at the end of the year it's like he just didn't do that well, and it's just that's kind of crazy. But yeah, he has big games. Quarterback for the Falcons, whoever they play. I mean, it's Mariota, but I'm not high on Mariota. But no. I think the Browns defense will shut down the Falcons. I think Nick Chubb will have a big game again, or Hunt. Who knows with those 2? But I'll take the Browns -1.
I like Nick Chubb a lot. I think Nick Chubb is the leading fantasy running back through 3 weeks, and he's only 7'9". I think we got to keep riding the hot hand. He's not getting all the touches. He's scoring a lot of touchdowns though, which is obviously important for a fantasy game.
No, he's great. Every year he'll be top 3 running back, and he's still underrated. I feel like it's kind of crazy.
The Browns have been feisty as hell. Brissett has been an upside.
Playing good.
He's just making more money for the rest of his career. He's doing exactly what he needs to do.
Yeah. Even on the Colts, he did fine with the Colts.
Good on New England too. Yeah. He did what he had to do.
Yeah.
Kohler, what do you think happens here?
I would definitely take the Browns -1 this game. I think they're just more put together than the Falcons. I think they're just going to run them into the ground. It's just pretty simple as that. It's just, the classic Chubb Hunt backfield combo, and that's pretty much it.
We're aligned on Browns -1 and the Ravens under. The Ravens Bills under. Is that a little that's our collab action so far? All right, we got 5-6 more games left. Let's bang through these. Titans head to the Colts. This is actually another play I have. I have the Colts -3. I think the Colts found some momentum after that Chiefs game. I sprinkled some Colts money line last week. Actually parlayed it with the Redskins. Of course, that didn't come to fruition, but I figured the Colts would get it done just based off that line last week against Kansas City. They're a better team than they showed in the first 2 weeks, and they did it again. They showed it last week. So I think the Colts build off that momentum, get it done here, cover this 3, and I think John Taylor and Michael Pittman and Matt Ryan is a great stack. Stack those 3 Colts, and then if you want to chase it with a Titan, go ahead, but I don't think you need to. But I think that Ryan, Taylor, Pittman stack is going to be one of my favorites of the week, and I definitely will have a lot of that. That's one of my bigger ones of the week out of all these games. Brian?
Yeah, this will be a good game. I look at both these teams as pretty similar, I'd say. I guess I'll give the Colts the defensive advantage, but I think they're both going to play very hard. I guess I would lean Colts also, but yeah, it'll be a good game.
For sure. Kohler?
Yeah, I feel like these teams are so evenly matched. The AFC South, they're all neck and neck and neck. It's like it's not even that the Jaguars got better and the Texans, I feel like, got a little bit better than last year. They're all kind of squishing into the middle. So that's why obviously this line is so small, but probably have to agree Colts just because they're at home and
just because they're home. Yeah.
All right, another game. You good, Kohler?
I'm good.
All right, Brian has some strong feelings about this game, and I will let him lead us off. Arizona heads to Panthers, has the Carolina, my favorite team. Weird line. I did not expect this line to be Carolina -2, but that's what we're approached with. So, Brian, what are you thinking?
Cardinals. I'm taking the Cardinals all the way. Absolutely, that would be my biggest play this week. The receivers are banged up, but I don't think the Panthers are good.
I agree.
Baker Mayfield. I don't know. I don't trust him at all. Kyler Murray's shown. He came back from 20 points down from the Raiders. Who did he lose to? The Rams and I forgot the other game. But yeah, he did lose to 2 good teams. I know that for a fact. So he's playing good football with not much to throw to. He doesn't even have DeAndre Hopkins, who he practically relies on, I feel like. But I'm definitely going to take the Cardinals.
I think this season has shown so much about Baker. I mean, we're 3 weeks in. But listen, we've seen a washed Cam Newton, a Sam Darnold, and a Kyle Allen all supplement Christian McCaffrey with no problem. Christian McCaffrey was the best running back every time with those 3 quarterbacks who are nothing. Now Baker Mayfield, all the upside. Baker can't even supplement Christian McCaffrey.
I don't know what he does. What about Odell, Jarvis Landry? They were nobodies for a couple of years with him.
Exactly, yeah. And when we've seen it with Jarvis, we've seen it with Odell, and now we've seen those guys leave Baker, and they show what they can do. I don't think it was an Odell problem. I don't think it was a Jarvis problem. I don't think this season's a McCaffrey problem. I think it's a Baker problem. So that's my thing with I'm a Panthers fan. I want them to do good. We can't just give up on Baker after 3 weeks. I mean, I would love to, but you can't play him. You can't trust him, and you can't even play McCaffrey because, I mean, you're getting a discount on McCaffrey 8-7. He's 9+ every single damn week of his career, but you can't trust him with this. Within this, you can't. So I like the Cardinals as well. I like the Cardinals assets. We haven't seen James Conner is he playing this week? I'm pretty sure he is. We haven't seen James Conner have an upside week, which he has yet. Maybe we're due for one. I like the Cardinals +2. I think they'll get it done on the road. Little payback from last year when Cam came in and destroyed the Cardinals. Or what is that, 2 years? Whatever. Last time they played in Arizona, Cam destroyed them as his first game back as a Panther. So I like Cardinals to get a little payback here and get their name back in the mix in the NFC West. Cole, you have anything here?
I was definitely surprised when I saw this line too. Cardinals +2 is crazy. I mean, you just look at the quarterback matchup, Kyler versus Baker, you take everything out of the equation, and it's really hard to kind of close that gap in between those two. So if they're an underdog, I'll take them.
This is a horrendous coaching matchup too. Cliff Kingsbury versus Matt Rule. I hate Cliff Kingsbury, and Matt Rule just gets worse by the week. So this game blows. I don't really like anyone. If it's anyone, I feel like it's sneaky James Conner with Kyler. But we will move on to New England head to Green Bay, and oh boy, before you know it, Green Bay will be 7-1 because they have. I'm gonna pull this up real quick. They have the Patriots this week without Mac, I assume. Then they have the
he's out.
Giants next week. They have the Giants next week. They have the Jets the week after that. Then they have the Commanders. So what are they going to be 6-1? And then they head to Buffalo. Like, I don't think the Packers are legit this year. I don't think they're like as good as they were last year. I think their defense is going to have to carry them for these first 5 weeks, and they're going to because of the schedule. And then we're going to see Aaron Rodgers put it together with his receivers, which kind of makes me nervous for the
He's got to build chemistry with them still. It's going to happen though.
So yeah,
he made so many nobody's people. So
betting wise this week, real quick, Brian. Betting wise this week, I tease the Packers with the Eagles. So I got Eagles pick 'em, Packers -3.5 as my biggest play of the season. Might come back to bite me. I think the Eagles win against the Jaguars, and I think the Packers roll, maybe even cover this 10. But
I think the line is 10 now also.
Yeah, go ahead, stack Aaron Rodgers, stack Aaron Jones. They've been great to us all season. But besides that, I don't even think you want to chase it with any Patriots because how low scoring they are, how good this Packers defense is. So what's your thoughts on this game, Brian? Just you think Packers roll?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, who's playing quarterback? Zappy or Hoyer?
Exactly.
Yeah. There's not much to think. The Patriots won't score more than 10 points. So I definitely think the Packers.
Their offense has been like anemic, even with Mac Jones. I mean, I don't really think anyone is even convinced that Mac Jones is really all that by any means. Packers, I think, are also, I do agree with what you said, Matt. Like, they're going to be the Steelers when they went 11-0 because their schedule is fake and they're really not that good. The NFC is just really not good this year. So basically, if you're in the NFC and you have a half decent roster, you have an easy schedule. So that's just going to show up on the win column and the loss column for all these teams. But I wouldn't be surprised if the Packers covered this game.
I think that
in Lambeau.
I think the NFL in general is really even this year. Like all teams, I mean, I thought the Bills were superior to everyone, but then they lost to the Dolphins. So I don't see even the teams, the AFC West. You thought they would all be good, and they're all right. They're decent, but Chargers, Raiders, both don't look so good. So
all right,
even the Broncos.
Speaking of the Raiders and the AFC West, we have 3 games left. Broncos head to the Raiders, who haven't looked great, and the Raiders are 3-point favorites at home. I think the line is fair because the Broncos haven't really looked great. They've gotten inside the 10-yard line and scored the least points out of any team in the last 10 years. So, which is kind of crazy. That's on coaching more than anything. And we know a rookie head coach. Is it time that the Raiders offense and his weapon just has a game? They've played 3 games. They've played 3 amazing halves and 3 horrendous halves. Can they put a full game together? We'll see. Home game against a divisional opponent. That's like a spot to do it in. Will they? That's a question I wish we all knew because then we'd all be rich. But I think that the Raiders' weapons, Devontae and Derek Carr, are a viable stack. I think they have upside for sure. So, Brian, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. I think this is a good spot for the Raiders to finally get a first win. It's a hard division game, but I like the Raiders at home, -2.5 for sure. I'm not just really high on the Broncos. Russell Wilson doesn't really look like himself at all, but yeah, definitely I would take the Raiders. I think Derek Carr's gonna have a good game. Devontae Adams will break out this week. Maybe even see like Waller do something for once.
Yeah, finally, Waller.
Yeah.
Kohler, what do you got?
Yeah, I'll take the Raiders -2 here, definitely. I don't think, like you said, the Russell Wilson has not been looking like himself. Like he's just been even say whatever you want about Nathaniel Hackett, but Russ has been throwing balls into the dirt from like 5 yards away. So he just looked really bad. I think the Raiders are going to be able to put it together before the Broncos do, because at least the Raiders look good in flashes and the Broncos have not looked good at all. So, and if Raiders at home, I'll take the -2.5.
It's almost like the Broncos don't trust Russell Wilson. They take the ball out of his hands, and you paid the guy to make those plays, So
I think it's Waller, Devontae Adams, stack it with Carr. I think that's a good option. I mean, I'll tell you when to stay away from games when I think you should stay away, but I think that's a viable option. We'll move on to Sunday Night Football. On paper, great matchup. One of the best matchups of the year, looking from the preseason. Chiefs 1-point road favorites against the banged up Bucs offense. We see in a bounce back spot from one of these teams. Who's it going to be, Brian?
Buccaneers finally have their weapons back. I mean, Braves finally have Mike Evans, and I think Godwin's playing, if I'm not wrong.
Julio should be back too, I think.
Julio's also questionable, I saw. So, and they just got Cole Beasley now, and Russell Gage question. They have 5 weapons now. Last week they had 0. So out of nowhere, now they have everyone back. But their defenses look great. The Chiefs just came off a loss to the Colts. I would probably take the Buccaneers at home here after a loss against Rodgers.
I like this over, honestly. I was on the
over too.
I like the under last week in the Bucs Packers, especially with that Packers defense and Bucs having nothing. I like this over 44.5 by Brady Mahomes, who's gonna play an under in that matchup. And fantasy wise, what am I gonna say? Don't play Travis Kelce. Like, yeah, you know who's good in these Chiefs offense. They're viable options. They're gonna have ownership. You want to play a lot of them. So I don't really have much to say because it's fairly obvious we know where the weapons are in this game. Kohler, I don't even want to give a side. I think this is a coin flip. I like the over is what I'll say. Kohler?
I definitely like the over as well. I feel like this game is giving off Chiefs-Rams vibes from back in the day.
That game?
Yeah, that game. You know what I'm talking about.
Best game ever.
Touchdown every other play. I think that could totally happen in this game. I mean, I would be concerned for the Chiefs just because the Bucs defense is pretty nuts and at home. I do still think that this game goes over, and depending on how many receivers play for the Buccaneers, I would. I'm
gonna wait on that.
Yeah.
All right, cool. All right, we'll move on to Monday Night Football. One of the biggest case of one coach owning another coach. We have Kyle Shanahan and Sean McVay. Kyle Shanahan has had his number for the past few seasons. So are we going to see more of that? Or I don't know. I feel like this line is fair, but I would probably lean the Rams +2. We know what the weapons are with the Rams offense. Cooper Kupp's continuing to be Cooper Kupp. And yeah, I don't want what else do I want to say? Like Garoppolo, I think is a better option than Lance, and he looked okay. But besides that, I don't think I think this is a good option for the Rams. So what do you think of this game, Brian?
I like the Rams. I think Sean McVay is due for a win against Kyle Shanahan. I didn't like the way Jimmy Garoppolo looked last week, really. He looked like a little iffy, but yeah. I think Cooper Kupp will have a big game.
He's the highest priced guy in the slate by $900. That is a significant amount.
As he almost should be though. So
yeah,
he didn't really have a great game last week. I mean, 18 points in fantasy for him is bad. So I would say look for a big Cooper Kupp game.
Yeah. I wrote him up last week and he scored early, then it kind of faded away because they just faded away as a team. They played prevent offense after they went up a lot last week. So yeah, I like the Rams here +2. They're kind of looking better after that week 1 disappointment. So Kohler, what's your thoughts?
As the 49ers being my designated NFC team, I'm going to have to go with the homer pick, and I think I'll take the 49ers -2. I mean, Kyle Shanahan, like you said, has been proven time and time again to beat McVay, but obviously in the playoffs last year, there's a different story. But I do think, who have the Rams really beat this year? They beat the Cardinals last week. I don't even say that's that impressive of a win because
that was at home too. No, it was on the road.
In the NFC West, the Cardinals they get beat up on and they just kind of scrape by with those out of division wins. I think the 49ers at home against the Rams, I think Jimmy Garoppolo is probably going to get back in his offense, hit his stride. They got loads of weapons. I would say that their weapons are, if you add them all up, is better than what the Rams got. So, because you see Allen Robinson has been kind of disappointing this year. I know I drafted him in a couple leagues and he's been getting absolutely nothing. And, Debo Did Debo get hurt? Am I?
No, he did, but he should be
He
straight.
came back.
Debo, Ayuk. I mean, Kyle Shanahan's going to bring the running game. I think the 49ers take this 1-2.
All right, yeah. Any final thoughts on this game or on the NFL slate, Cole or Brian?
No, that was good.
All right, well, that about wraps it up. That was every game. That was about 50 minutes. I appreciate you guys tuning in. I know this isn't live, so I can't really get to questions, but I'll be away this week, but I'll still be able to get to questions. I'll have the article come out on Saturday with the 5 matchups to target. You know where to find me. Follow them on Twitter if you get a chance to, and I appreciate you joining. I will catch you guys next week. Everyone have a good weekend.